What's up, everybody, and welcome to Growing Up Gaming, your weekly podcast where we meet a new person of the internet to discuss their childhood with gaming and how it inspired their lives today. My name is Mitch Power. Again, thank you guys for returning each and every week to the show. Hopefully you have subscribed on iTunes or Google Play or TuneIn Radio or maybe you've gone to my website, gugpodcast.com, and checked it out there. Something. I'm sure you've heard of the show. Obviously, you're listening now, and I appreciate anybody who's out there listening. This week on the show, we have our guest. His name is Connor Irving. I met this man on the Comedy Button podcast Facebook page. So he discusses his growing up and all the things that got him to where he is today. If you guys want to be on the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter, or go ahead and go to the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. Without further ado, let's get things started with Connor Irving. Do you remember what got you into gaming? Do you remember if it was a friend, a family member, a store that you came across that had a kiosk? Do you remember what got you started?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I've been thinking about this. I'm a fan of yours. First off, I want to mention that, like, I've listened to about 10 or 15 episodes now. Aww. So I've got, like, the format down, sort of.
Nice.
So I do know how, like, I got started with my father. He very much introduced me. I played with him. Like, my very first video game was my very first memory. It's a very treasured moment for me.
That's awesome. Do you remember what? Obviously, I was going to say I would hope you remember. What game was it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It is Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
Yeah. So I feel like that was a pretty good introduction to video games.
Yeah, just a bit. I mean, the only problem is like some people that's their favorite game ever. So hopefully it wasn't like I hope every game is this good.
Yeah. No, it was. See, I never played it. I feel like I should preface this a little bit. I was too young to understand how an N64 controller worked. I'm 22, so I was a little young at the time when it was big and fancy. So my dad would play it, but he would hand me the controller when it was trying to open a chest or collect an item or talk to a big NPC. And that's how he made me feel included.
That's cool. That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, like he would take care of the hard stuff and I would sit next to him and encourage him and tell him, yeah, you're doing it. Congrats. Go you. And when it eventually happened, it was time he was like, okay, well, here you go. And he'd hand me the controller and I'd go up and I'd open the chest and I'd hear that.
Right.
And I don't know. That's just like one of the earliest memories I have is hearing that sound.
That's awesome. I wonder if it'll be like one of those things, some people have certain memories that recalled after a sound or a smell. Like you'll hear that and then it'll just flash back in your head when you were a kid.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't play Ocarina of Time, but like I said, I watched my dad, and when he finally beat it, and the credits rolled, he looked at me and, I don't remember this, but I talked to my dad while he was, out visiting me, the other night, and I actually cried. When the game finished, he looked to me and I was crying because it was over. There was like no more new Zelda.
Right.
Like there was no more adventure to be had. Everything else was like just retracing steps and collecting old items.
Right.
And that's something I kind of relate to now that's held through is once I've beat a game, I have a very hard time going back to it because the story is done. I'm very much a plot oriented person. I need a story to keep me going.
Yeah. I mean, that gets the case for me too. Like, I'm not going to say I won't go back and cause I mean, I guess it depends on the game. Cause some games there's not really, you could go through it again if you want to, but it's not the same,
yeah.
Or there are those open world games where you could go back and do all the other stuff you didn't get to do, but also is it as good as the main quest was? That's why there's side quests that wasn't part of the main quest, so it's like, are they as good? Hopefully, but I mean, it really just depends on the game. That's how I felt with Horizon. Like after I beat Horizon, I was just like, I think I'm done. Like I don't want to play this anymore.
That's a very good point, actually. I just replayed Horizon because I got Horizon the day it came out. I used to work at an EB Games, so I would always get like the game when it came out. Sorry, in Canada, EB Games is like GameStop.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that for everybody who listens.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, EB Games, GameStop, same thing, just different name in Canada.
It's $100 for a new video game. That's why it's you want to get one of those jobs.
Yeah, there you go.
So you can get games for $80 instead.
Yeah, exactly.
But I digress. I got that and I got Zelda at the same time because I got a Switch the day it came out and I got Horizon. And I kind of rushed through Horizon, and I felt that same, just like I put it down and I didn't bother touching it. I actually lent it to a friend's and I forgot about it. And when this new DLC came out, I picked it up, and it fixes a lot of the problems that are with that game. The side quests are interesting. The world is beautiful. Like, Horizon was a beautiful looking game, but when you go to the northern territories, oh man, they've done so many small details just to make the world feel like it's alive. As somebody who lives around a lot of snow, I can appreciate the level of detail they've put into it.
Right. That's an interesting thing. You're like, I know what snow looks like. I know really well, and they did a good job.
They did a really well. There's like a point where you can run through waist-high snow, and they actually rendered the grass under the snow.
I saw that.
Yeah, so you can only see the grass when you run through the waist-high snow. And I'm not kidding. That's what inspired me to buy the DLC. I saw that, I thought that was just insanely cool, and I had to go buy it.
Yeah, they did a really good job with that. I particularly played it, beat it. It's still my game of the year so far, just because the expectation levels of it weren't so high, but it blew away every expectation I had of the game, and that's why it's my game of the year. But yeah, that was the game that after I beat the story and everything, I was like, wow, what a great game. And then afterwards, I was like, looking at the platinum trophy, like, you know, I really enjoy this game. It is probably my game of the year at that point, and it still is today right now. And I got like 2 weeks left, or else it's still game of the year for me.
Yeah.
But basically, like, after it was done, I saw what I needed to do for the platinum, and I was just like, man, the story is what got me really going. The characters were really good, and I was just like, I'm good. But then there's some games that you could replay over and over. Just because of the story not being, I'm not gonna say not as critical, but like, dude, I would play South Park Stick of Truth again because that game was hilarious. Like, you know what?
I never played Stick of Truth or Fractured But Whole. I've been trying to get a copy, but it's so hard to find.
So, Stick of Truth is literally the funniest video game I've ever played. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. And I have the new one, got it for Christmas. I did that thing where I bought myself gifts because my wife doesn't know when games go on sale. So I bought it, but it's sitting upstairs and it's supposed to be my Christmas pile, except for I beat Wolfenstein. So that Christmas pile might show up tomorrow, except for PUBG comes out on Xbox tomorrow. So.
Oh, it does.
It sure does.
Man, I need to, I gotta wait. Yeah.
So,
I gotta get that.
I'll just, do that. Yeah,
there's a lot of different games.
There are, but so then did you? After that, was your dad all like, "Oh no, don't worry, we got other games to play"? Did you actually go back and do stuff with him still?
Oh yeah, no, my dad was like the gateway for video games for me up until maybe I was. Whenever Oblivion came out on the PS3, we'll get to that because that's also another huge story in my life. But I say huge, but it's not really huge. It's just like one of those pivotal memories.
Right.
But we would play like random N64 games. Nothing really clicked for the N64 just because my hand was so small for the controller. Right. I just couldn't play it. It was just too much for me. And it sucked because I really wanted to play it. Because for I think my 5th or 6th birthday, my mom and dad got me a copy of Majora's Mask. When it first came out. And like I got the special gold cartridge and I was super excited to play it, and I pop it in and I struggled super hard, but I managed to start it and play the first, I think, hour and a half of Majora's Mask, and I had to turn it off because I was too scared.
Oh geez.
Yeah, Majora's Mask was a little too much for a 6-year-old. That's a very dark game.
Yeah, it is.
I didn't realize how dark it was until I borrowed my friend's 3DS and played through the Majora's Mask and Ocarina remakes. And like, I loved Ocarina again, and it was awesome.
Did
like playing it by myself.
Like, Dad, I'm scared. I can't play this.
Absolutely. Like he even tried to play it, and like because of the whole puzzle mechanic and like you have to rewind the days all the time. Right. It was a little too much for him at the time too. He was very busy, so he was like, I can't deal with this game that makes me think. We need to play Banjo-Kazooie because that's easier, or Donkey Kong 64.
Exactly.
Because those are games you can just turn your brain off and listen to like what's his name? I can't remember the composer, but he makes amazing soundtracks. He did Mario and Rabbids recently. That was also fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Greg Kirkhope. That's his name. Sorry, I derailed you there.
No, you're good.
Yeah, sorry. That was what my dad would do. We would just sit down and just play these games. And, yeah. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. So essentially, he helped you play games. Eventually, like, did he get to a point in time where you were more handling the games on your own and he just kind of like phased out of playing games as often? Like he had more, like you said, obviously when you are an adult, you have other things to do, which, you know, you have a bonding time with your kid, which is cool. You know, obviously you want to have some sort of special moments with your child to have that lasting memory like you have now. But then eventually you get to a point where you're just like, I can't do this right now. I got other stuff. Did that kind of happen as well then too, where he's just like, started slowly backing out as you became more self-sufficient on doing it?
Oh yeah, I actually remember that argument very well. We were playing Wind Waker actually, and I was playing and he was watching. This was like a new dynamic for us where like he couldn't beat a boss and I would play for a couple hours, or I couldn't beat something and he would play for a couple hours. So we would like hop back and forth at one point, and we were fighting a boss. I can't remember which one. I think it was like the worm mechanical boss, and it like jumps through the sand and tries to get you. And my dad was like yelling it, like instructions on how to beat it. And I just couldn't understand. And it was getting so much. And I actually yelled, "Shut up" at him. And I think I was like 9 or 10, something like that.
I'm sure that went over well.
Oh my God. That was like, he just like, he wasn't angry or anything. He was more surprised that I said it than anything. Cause I'm a quiet kid mostly, pretty shy. So the fact that I blurted out just like, "Shut up, I need to concentrate," or "Shut up." He just kind of like stood up and he walked away, and I beat the boss, and then I paused the game. I went outside and I just approached him very businesslike, and I'm like, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean it." I was passionate, and that was where he kind of started to pump the brakes. We got a PS2 a couple years later with like Jak 3, and like that's where I had my time. I would play for a couple hours by myself, and then he would play by himself. And that we had like that kind of distance for a while.
Right.
And we just kind of separated in games, and like I liked platformers, he liked shooters. So we just kind of diverged and went different directions.
All because you told him to shut up. I hope you're happy. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No,
That's why.
It's rocks me to the core to this day.
Yeah, exactly. He told your dad to shut up. I remember the first time I cussed in front of my dad. That was it slipped up. I think I just said shit or something. Like, and my dad just gave me a look like, "I think I just heard you say shit, didn't I?" And I'm like, yeah, you did. He's like, so you know you shouldn't be doing that, right? I'm like, yeah, I know. It was just that shock look. You know, I mean, I'm sure your dad had the similar shock when you were like, "Shut up." Yeah. And he was just probably like, okay. I'm gonna figure out how to handle this, because my kid telling me to shut up, not acceptable, but I get the passion. And yeah, that's what I got too comfortable with my dad is what happened, you know, cause like, I started cussing pretty young cause my dad started cussing like my whole life. So
same boat, man.
Everybody cusses when they're in like 5th grade. So I just got like way too familiar with my dad, and I was just like, I said shit. And he's just like, did you forget something? Like, I'm kind of your dad. You can't be saying that kind of thing around me. I'm like, yeah, that's right. So at least it wasn't disrespectful or anything. I just swore in front of him. But that look on his face was, he was like, hold up.
Like I still remember that look. I've gotten it a few times since, but it's never been to that level of shock where he just had, his eyes went wide. I just never forget that look on his face.
I remember the first time my kid got like so pissed off at me that they said, "I hate you," and I thought it was going to hurt, but it didn't. I was just like, whatever, go to your room.
Well, did you get that point where you're like, "Oh, so that's what it's like, the other side now"? Yeah,
I did. They haven't told me to shut up because, that would probably be a bad idea.
That's a big one, though.
That's a real big one. I've had the door slam, the stomp to the room, and then the door slam, which I just go, okay. Gotta calm down. But no, no, they haven't told me to shut up, which, hopefully I'm sure one day they will. I'm waiting for them probably. I'm going to say 14 or 15. I'll probably tell them they can't go to their buddy's house, or no, you can't take my car somewhere, and they'll tell me to shut up or something. And then, we'll see what happens. When it happens, I'll let you know.
Oh, thank you. No, I'll definitely need to know how that one goes.
I'll message you directly. Be like, he just told me to shut up. So we'll go. We'll figure it out when that time comes. Hopefully it doesn't come soon because I'd rather not have my kids tell me to shut up. I've had my 2-year-old tell me no, and it's adorable. She's like, no, 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 no. I'm like, okay, you're cute, but you're 2. I got to change your diaper. I'm sorry. Please lay down.
You can just pick them up at the end of the day. Like, what?
Yeah. Real quick, you would have nothing without me. So you please stop.
Yeah.
Watch your mouth.
Exactly.
So then, you and your dad kind of started playing separately. Did you ever have any brothers or sisters to play anything with, or friends that you played anything with?
I do, actually. I have a little brother. He's 4 years younger than me. We're a hard case. We grew up around the same age, like 3 to 4 years apart. So we were always fighting to be on the system at the same time, trying to watch this, like a TV show at 2 different times, or like 2 different TV shows at the same time on one TV. And it created a lot of fighting between us. But like the only time me and my brother still won't fight is when we play a co-op game. So that's where the first Lego game, I think it was Star Wars. Yeah, like the original trilogy. Yep. My mom picked that up for us because like it was my brother's birthday when it came out or something, and she just needed both of us to shut up. So she grabbed the game for his birthday, and she gave it to us, and she just said, "Play this game. It's co-op. You should like it." So we started playing it, and like there's 100 characters to unlock, and you can 100% each of these different levels, and you can come back later, and there's all these different freedom in this universe that me and my brother had just kind of learned about Star Wars in the last kind of like 5 years. So that's where we kind of came together, and my family got like a break from the fighting constantly, where they're like, "Oh, it's quiet. They must be playing a game together."
Right. What's funny is I remember so Lego Star Wars. So I worked at a video game store when Lego Star Wars came out. And I remember at first I just kept thinking like, this is a kid's game. Like this is a kid's game. Like the previews and stuff. You're like, man, it's a kid's game. And then it came out and I remember playing it and just being actually like super shocked at how good it was. I was just like, wait, whoa, this is actually like a fun co-op game. Granted, it's not terribly hard. But also, too, it's just a game that you can screw around in. But then there was, like, while some of the puzzles and everything were just like, yeah, anybody should be able to figure this out. You also got to remember they're aiming it at a younger demographic. But also that collector aspect, that like, oh, you have to go back and get all the bricks in each level. Oh, you have to do this. You have to do this. And, like, that's where people went nuts. And I just remember when more and more people kept coming in asking for it, and I'm like, is this game actually like that good? And then I started playing it, of course, at the store when it was bored. I was like, well, I'm gonna open this and start playing it. So I did, and then I was actually shocked. I was like, huh. And then they just blew up, and now they have Lego everything. But good for them because they're still fun.
Oh yeah, no, like I still play them. I picked up Lego Episode 7 the other day because it was $10.
Right.
And I think you've said it 1,000 times on your podcast now, just buy games on sale. Buy them on sale. And I'm realizing this now as somebody who lives on their own, and like I don't have money to buy new games, and I won't for a while because that's called being living an adult life.
Yeah, I was saying, welcome to adulthood. You get
exactly.
At first, it sucks.
It sucks, but it's fun at the same time.
Correct.
You got to balance. But like this year, I made a choice. I got Shadow of War, and me and my roommate split Mario. And then everything else, I've kind of like, I had a prepaid Visa, so I just bought a bunch of sale games. But Lego was among them. I had to somehow fit all those new games I got in there. But yeah, me and my brother would play those games. But when the PS3 came out, there was that whole shakeup, because that's where I noticed couch co-op was kind of, you started to see the deviation from bringing all of your friends over to play on one console to everybody has their own console, so why should we bother making a couch co-op mode?
Correct. Which is a sad time.
Absolutely. That's something I didn't mind so much during my angsty teenage years when I was pretty lonely. But now that I have a tight-knit group of friends and I want to play stupid video games with them, there's just like such a small amount of selection out there.
Yeah, I mean, I get like some games, I get why they had to go away from the couch co-op, because like, I guess it just depends on how graphically intense the game was. Like, example, like trying to run a game like a first-person shooter twice is a pain in the ass. Like, you know what I mean? Like trying to make Call of Duty work local co-op, and that's when like when Halo 5 got rid of the local co-op, people lost their shit because Halo had been co-op forever. But then like that was something that it's just taxing on the system. Graphics take a dip, frame rate takes a dip. But then there's certain games that obviously it's so necessary and good for. Like obviously you have your Jackbox party games, you have Mario Party, those types of games you like. It's necessary. Like playing them online, you don't have that same type of appeal as it is playing with people.
You don't have that connection,
exactly.
Like that physical feel with people.
Right. So that's why like certain games I felt, oh man, that sucks. They didn't do that. But then there was other games I was like, I want online co-op in this, and there wasn't. Like that was kind of frustrating too. Like when I played Super Mario 3D World on Wii U. It's 4-player. And I was like, this is awesome, but like, sorry, the internet exists now, and there's a lot of people online. I'm like, dude, I know people that have this. I'd love to play this online, and there wasn't even an option to do that. And I was like, okay. Like, obviously you can do it on the same system. I figure online would be somewhat easy. But then again, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Nintendo and the internet.
Exactly. I was just about to bring up Nintendo. That's the problem. Nintendo has no idea how to make a workable interface. It seems
we don't know what the internet is. Do you like to plug your headset into phones? Because we do. And everybody else in the world's like, no, we don't. We don't do that.
No, I just want to play my game.
Yeah,
it'd be easy if I could just plug it into something.
Yeah, that'd be real convenient. So then like you were saying, so like you and your brother at least were cool enough. So you got to play a lot of couch co-op stuff. Lego games. Did you turn into one of those families where you're like every Lego game you guys picked up?
No. Okay. It was the Star Wars ones, because as a family, that's the one series we can, like, I'm a devout Star Wars fan. It's kind of a problem how much I enjoy the series. And my brother is a fan, and my dad is also, he's a mega fan. And my mom is also a fan. So that's like why we got those games when we were kids, because my parents knew we liked them. So it's Star Wars 2, so it's not like it's going to hurt us more than Star Wars already has. And it'll keep them quiet. So yeah, just shove them in their face.
Right.
But once the Star Wars games started to like wean out, we had to find other games. And, around that time we got like the PS3. And that was fun after about 3 years, once games actually started getting on the system.
Correct. Right. A lot of people real fast. For history, folks, a lot of people forgot that. Remember this whole console generation this generation to say, when everybody was saying how the Xbox version was not as superior as the PS4 version. The PS4 version had better frame rate, better graphics, all that. A lot of people forget that's how PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 were. Like the PS3 versions of games sucked when they first came out. Like they just they did not run as well. Like Bethesda games especially ran like dog shit on PS3. Madden was like just framey, like, and then of course after a year they ironed out all the kinks, but a lot of people forget that like those first 2 years of PlayStation 3's life cycle were like rough. Not saying there weren't good games, but it was just rough. But that's also the case with, I would say quote unquote the losing console. It's hard to get that momentum, but once you do, it's pretty good, which obviously PS3 lifetime sales, eventually PS3 even beat 360, but right out of the gate, everybody was all about that 360.
Yeah, it was partially due to that price point. I was, I think 11 or 12 when the PS3 came out. So I remember it being expensive, but I don't remember it personally being $650 expensive.
Yeah,
because that was the price here in Canada for a 20 gig.
That was and
it was insane to get too. Like my dad worked at Walmart at the time, as like a overnight crew, and he had to put his name into a lottery because they were only getting 10 systems, and 5 of those were being held for these lotto winners, and the other 5 were being sold. So like my dad had to put his name into this raffle, and thankfully he won it. So that was like the family Christmas present for the year. And actually for the next 4 years.
I was going to say, it costs as much as a damn house payment. So it's like, I guess we got to buy it.
Yeah, no, it was like, oh, you better really like that PlayStation. But eventually, like all launch systems, it did go. And that was a sad, sad day.
Yeah.
Everybody loses their first and they never forget. I remember playing Killzone and then just gone.
Really?
Yeah, I was just playing Killzone 2 or something. Yeah, it was Killzone 2. I was playing it, tried to like pause it to save it and go leave, and it just turned black. Yellow light went on and didn't turn off.
I would say I went through, conservatively, probably 4 360s. Something like that. Like, I went through so many of them. But also, too, I didn't buy a launch one. But still, like, broken consoles bum you out. It really does.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the yellow light thing was, like, not as common, but still, like, that was, like, when that happened, you're like, oh shit, that thing really broke. Cause like, they didn't happen.
Oh yeah.
So often. Like if a 360 red ringed, that was just basically like, that's like saying, hey, the ice cream machine at McDonald's is broke. You're like, oh, of course it is. You know what I mean? Like the 360 red ringed. Of course it did. Why the fuck wouldn't it? Of course it did. But yeah, when the yellow light happened on a PS3, I was like, that was a more like, oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Something really broke then.
Yeah, that was a bad day.
Yeah.
We actually, allegedly, I'm going to use that because I know this show has a fun use of the word allegedly.
Absolutely.
Allegedly, we traded all of that system in and never said anything about the problems with the PlayStation and got a full trade-in value at the time for a PS4 or a PS3 and used it to buy the next PlayStation because we needed a PlayStation. We weren't just going to go without one.
Yes.
That'd be insane.
Of course. Allegedly you did that though. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I remember that was always the thing when I worked at a game store, and people brought in like the old model to get the new model. Now a lot of people doing it were like, I would question it. Like some people would walk in and I'd be like, I'm testing the hell out of this console. I'm making sure there ain't shit wrong with this thing. But the one where I think there was the most turnaround, even though like the 360, I didn't work during the 360, I should say that. Like when they did the 360 Slim, like I didn't work during that time, but I'm sure a million people went and got rid of that old one that just red ringed all day long. But when the PS2 they went from the fat to the slim one, I have never seen so many people bring in PS2s to get the new one. And I would test them all. And some were sketchy on playing DVDs, you know, because some games were DVD, like dual layer DVDs. Some of the consoles wouldn't read those things very well. So I had like 3 games. I had a CD game, a DVD game, and a dual layer DVD game. I literally would test them all. That's how we had to do it at my game store. And I'd run into situations where I'm like, looks like God of War doesn't play. Interesting. Well, can't take this one. But no, so many people came in and swapped it for that slimline PS2. And I still, to this day, couldn't believe when they announced it and I saw it in person. And I was like, what is this thing? It is so small. It was the size of a DVD case. And I could not believe that was a PS2. I was shocked. Yeah,
that was actually the first PS2 I got. That was the one. Yeah, it was like the Jack bundle with that, and that was what I got one Christmas as the family present. That was actually, my family started with Sony. Like that's always been their baby. It was Nintendo, then Sony, and then it's still Sony. My dad can't be like pried apart from his PS4. Once the PS3 came out, I think that was when Flame Wars really blew up. Like there used to be the console generations, like who was better, PS2, Xbox, Nintendo, Sega, but I don't think there was any like shit posting flame war quite like there was when the PS3 and the Xbox 360 and the Wii were like in their heyday, in their like first 2 years. There was so much fighting. I actually lost personal friends because they were like diehard Xbox people and they would like insult me for having a PS3, which is insanity to think.
Yeah.
But that was just like the level of devotion people had to these consoles at the time.
I also want to say that's probably the birth of social media. It's close. I know MySpace was around,
it would be around the same. I didn't get, I skipped MySpace. I didn't get a cell phone till I was 13. My parents kept very close monitoring on my technology use, but at a certain point, you can't monitor everything.
Correct.
I got a Facebook account. I've had it for like 11 years now, and there's way too much history on it. But like, I choose not to delete it because that's a part of me, and I have to own up to my shitty history sometimes.
Right.
But
I think that's when, like, I'm not saying social media was
But
like invented, but it was
you're
just
totally
it was
onto
so
something there.
like, because everybody basically, which is one thing, a downfall of social media, is that everybody has an opinion, good, bad, or otherwise. So like, and then the other thing is that people don't like to admit when they're wrong or that they could be wrong. That's another problem. It's just like the ego of many people saying, I'm never wrong, I'm always right. You're out of your mind, and you need to get in a touch with reality
you
real
need to
quick.
Get checked.
Get your fucking head checked. It's just, the problem is that everybody has an opinion, and nobody likes to admit if they are wrong. And that's where shit posting comes. But yeah, like 360 PS3, what's funny is the shit posting, it was more personal for me, because I think I've told this story, but my friend Mike Bachman, who's been on the show, who is the Drunks and Dragons podcast. Yeah. Me and him worked at Game Crazy together. He's a great guy. Anyways, he, when I moved to Arizona, and he's like, hey, what system are you getting? Because he was like, dude, get a 360. Get a 360. And I was like, nah, dude, I'm going to get a Wii, because I was stupid. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to get a Wii. Because I
want that Twilight Princess.
Dude, I wanted Twilight Princess, but my wife also wanted WarioWare. I wanted
Twilight Princess. That was a great one.
WarioWare is great. So then I was like, all right, cool. We're going to do this and everything. I'll get the Wii. And I told him I got a Wii instead of a 360. And he straight was so offended that I did that. When he got his 360, he was like, at the time, super pissed at me. So he basically, out of anger, at my brother-in-law's house, because we all hung out all the time, he basically made his gamer tag, I hate Mitch Power. Now, the thing is, I didn't know about it because I didn't have a 360. So then I got a 360. I talked to my brother-in-law. I'm like, Nick, what's Mike's gamer tag? And he just immediately says, you don't want to know. And I'm like, no, what is it? Because I want to play games with him. And then he told me, and I basically said, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? That's his online persona, is I hate Mitch Power. You got to be fucking joking me, right? And he's like, look it up. And I did, and I found him, and I immediately was just like, really, dude? And he's just like, I was pissed at you. I did it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll pay you if you want to change it. He's like, oh no, it's a way better story to keep it. So then I was like, at first I was mad, but then I was like, you're right. It's really funny. So then when we would play games together, everybody laughed their ass off, because in the same lobby there was Mitch Power and then I hate Mitch Power. But then he happened to make that his PlayStation name, which, yeah, there's no way to change that shit.
I was just about to say, at least he didn't name himself I hate Mitch Power on PlayStation.
Nope, he stuck with it. He continued on with it and everything, and it's okay. But the thing is now,
well, at least you can laugh about it.
Oh no, I laugh about it.
It's a joke.
It's super funny. But at the time, he was so angry that that's what he had to go with, which I just thought was funny. But the thing is now is he's like, because now he's on a successful podcast. They won a podcast award. Like, good for them. They're awesome. But now it's funny because now that's like, when people ask him, he's got to say, my name is I hate Mitch Power. And he's come up to me before. He's like, dude, I'm thinking about changing. I'm like, well, if you want to, I get it. Because now maybe you don't want to be known on the internet as somebody who hated somebody else. Right. But I was like, good luck changing it on PlayStation. He's like, yeah, tell me about it. I'm like, yeah, maybe one day that'll happen. Maybe.
Well, with the rumors,
those rumors
Greg Miller,
for 4 years.
Kind of funny, asked, obviously, yeah. No, apparently by next year we might be able to change our names, which would be nice, because I'd like to just change the smallest little inconsistency on my PlayStation account that's bothered me for 10 years now. Oh my God, it's so annoying.
My favorite thing in the world is Microsoft has been able to change your name forever, right? They literally did a thing. It was, I think, a year ago, within this last year or something, where they released a bunch of gamer tag names that had been sitting unoccupied. They literally just opened it up. They're like, by the way, we're releasing like 100,000 gamer tags that have been used and just sitting dormant. So then all these people paid to change their gamer tag to get the gamer tag they wanted. I'm just like, that's so damn brilliant. Microsoft just literally said, we're going to release all these gamer tags. If you guys want to pay us $10 to change it, go right ahead. And I'm sure people went gangbusters and just started spending money left and right. So meanwhile, Sony's got their head in their ass like, what do we do? I don't know how to change this. some network engineer at Sony screwed that up, whoever made that, because Microsoft made
10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Years ago now.
Microsoft made millions of dollars in a day just allowing people to choose old names that were sitting dormant while they're standing around just like, we don't even know how to do this. So, oh well, that's fine. Maybe one day they will. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe.
Then
I would hope so.
I would hope so too.
I'm not relying on it.
Yeah, we're
like I'll believe it when I see it at this point. It's like Cyberpunk 2077. I'll see it when I believe it.
Yeah, and Kingdom Hearts 3. That'll happen in, when my son's graduating high school. It'll be great.
Exactly.
So then you go PS3. And is your brother pretty much playing games with you this whole time? So he's pretty much sticking with you playing games and stuff?
No, that's where I started to hit puberty. So I became, there's 3 archetypes, I believe, of the teenager. Like, you get to be popular, you get to be nerdy, or you get to be a mixture of both of them.
Sure.
And I got stuck with just being nerdy. So I became super depressed, and I rejected everyone, and I just wanted to be by myself all the time. So I actually convinced my brother. One of the last things we did on equal grounds for a long time, because of growing up, obviously. We decided to split the cost of a new 360.
Okay.
Because nobody had a PS4 or PS3, sorry, because it was so damn expensive still. Just none of my friends had it, and all the games Sony had for PS3 were just crappy ports from 360. So if I was going to play a game, I wanted to play the actual game.
Right.
And I couldn't afford PC because $1,000 to a 12-year-old is insane. That's $1 million to me right now.
Right.
But so we get this Xbox 360 and we enjoy it amicably together for a while. Like, we played through all of the Halos together, and stuff like that. But once he got bored of it, he got so bored of it, and he took the PlayStation and I took the Xbox. So from there, my path deviated, and I've been kind of like an Xbox fanboy since then. And I've joined the I guess now the rejected masses.
How dare you, sir? Bite your tongue. We're not rejected. We're good.
Well, no, we're not. We're good. That's the thing, is we are good. But it's taken so long for people to realize we're good. And that's it's like been the uphill battle. I when I worked at EB Games, I would just be like, well, are you sure you don't want an Xbox? Because Sony's been screwing Canadians out of money now for about a year. And it's super annoying. Like, they added an additional $15 on top of our PSN costs because they need more money, I guess.
Oh my God.
They didn't do it to any other country. It was just Canada.
I love how you try to sway the Canadian people going, Sony fucked us out of money. You gotta switch over.
I will be totally honest, and it really annoyed my bosses because we're supposed to sell and make stats, but I wanted to be I was out there to help people, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I think you should do.
Yeah, and that was the hard thing about working at a game store was you tried to be not biased to any one company.
Yeah.
But then it was hard at times because some people would come in and go if people were honest with me, I'd be like, how old's your kid? What do they like to play? Buy this. That's exactly how I would do it. But then if they ask, well, what's your opinion? I'm like, ooh.
Oh, that's where I do the Italian chef kiss my fingers, and I'm like, well, come here, and I'll drag them over and I'll grab 8 games and be like, well, here's Metal Gear Solid 5, favorite game of this console, and I'll just dig into that, and eventually they'll buy it, but not entirely all the time.
Right.
And it always sucks.
No, yeah, you're good. No, so.
Oh, sorry.
You're fine. I love how Canadian people say sorry all the time. It's hilarious.
It's our problem.
I know, it's okay. So then you were telling people basically you turned to an Xbox guy, and then you were just telling all of your Sony. Man, it's crazy that Sony just was like, hey, guess what? Thanks, Canada.
Yeah, it sucked. One of the benefits of working at a game store, again, I was able to buy a bunch of the 3-month cards that were super cheap at the time. So I just bought a bunch of those up. So I have my next year already paid for and put in the system, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, once I'm out of those, I have to pay the new price of I think $75 or $69.99 for a year's online.
That's so crazy.
Which is crazy. I can either buy a brand new game for an additional $20, or I can pay to play that game online for a year.
Yeah, I got to a point where I actually didn't renew my PlayStation Plus. I'm not saying it's bad. I just literally didn't turn it on enough. And I'm just I'll just let this slip. But then now it's it sucks when you have to go buy it full price when it's not on sale or something. Cause like, I'm just, I'm like, oh man, I gotta buy this thing full price. Like, and for us, it's $60. But again, like lately I just keep looking at PlayStation exclusives that I want to play and they're all single player. And I'm just like, I don't need online. Screw this. I'll just stick with that.
I'm kind of hitting that point as well. The only game I really like to play online at this point are like Destiny 2 and Siege, and that's waning at best. So I'm very much considering just letting it default and see how far I can go, and I'll just pay for it when I want it.
Yeah, there you go. Or you could be like one of those moochers on Reddit and be like, does anybody have a week code? Like a 1 week code?
I mean, it's pretty good here. Like I've found, if you pay for 3 months, they'll let you sign up for the week again.
Oh, there
so
you go.
You can technically, like in Canada, you can get 3 months plus a week. So it gives you like a week if you're like between paychecks or something.
Yeah. Recently I got an email that I was shocked about because I was just like, huh? It said my Xbox Live was about to expire. And I was like, get the hell out of here. Like, really?
Yeah, I should see this alert. It should just go.
I'm like, no, real quick. I haven't seen this alert in like 5 years. What are you talking about? So then, I bought all of these 3-month cards because they were on Black Friday for Best Buy. I just stacked up on just all these 3-month cards. Cause it was $10 for 3 months, which equates to $40 for a year. And I literally bought as many as they let me. Like I just stacked up. So then,
that's what I did too.
Yeah. So what's weird is like when I redeemed one of the 3 months, it was like, if you sign up for auto renewal, we'll give you another month. And I'm like, damn, like that's cool.
A good deal.
I know. I was like, that's cool. And I said no, cause I don't want to auto renewal cause I had a nightmare trying to get that off auto renewal one time. And, so I said no. And then I put in the next 3-month card and it didn't do it again. And I was like, shit.
Oh, you should have taken it.
I was like, shit, I should have just did it, but it's all right. No, now I have Xbox Live for like another 2 years now. So I'm good.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Like, I ain't got to worry about it. So then so when the online started thing happening, so like you went to 360, did your taste in games change or did you do the Call of Duty, everybody else and their mother did?
Not Call of Duty, I guess. Only like because of peer pressure. I would say a lot of games I got into because of peer pressure. I just wanted to be cool. Like, as lame as it sounds, like I just wanted to fit in with my friends and get their games so I could play with them.
Well, that's not lame if you want to get games your friends have. I mean, that's not necessarily lame.
Exactly. It's like I like Modern Warfare 2, but I don't know if I would like Modern Warfare 2 if my friends didn't play it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. 'Cause there's been games that I'm not going to say peer pressured into, but there's been games that I've gotten. The only thing that pisses me off is when you get games your friends get, and then after 2 weeks you're like, I don't like this game. And you're like, shit, neither do I. This game sucks. Why did I buy this? Oh yeah, because I want to play it with you guys.
Yeah, Battlefield 1 was definitely that for me. Like me and like 6 friends and my dad got it. Like my dad was willing to play games with us. It was a huge thing. So we all got this game and we played it for 2 weeks and we all were in a party and we're quiet for about 15 minutes. And I think my dad said, man, this game is really boring, isn't it? And we're all like, thank God you said something. This is boring.
Yeah, you don't have time for boring ass games. You got too much other cool shit to play.
There's so much cool stuff to play nowadays. I don't know why people are like dragging themselves down with like thinking about the small shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
no,
it's a waste of time.
Exactly. So then,
but actually,
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to bring it back for a moment because there was one story I kind of glanced over that I'd like to tell. It's when I played Oblivion.
Yes.
That's a big story for me because that was the first game that sucked me in. And like, I liked games at that point. I played them and they were fun. It was like a family thing. I could play with my brother. It was a great time pass, but Oblivion was the first game that I read all the lore pages. I went online and I read about Morrowind and like Arena and all these different games just to get the lore because I needed to know what I could find in this game. And it was like, that was where gaming became a different thing for me. It wasn't like a pastime. It was a part of my life. And it really worried my father for a point there because he saw like the addiction start to crawl in and he was like, I don't want my son to turn into one of those World of Warcraft kids.
I was
sits
literally
going to
bring up WoW. I was literally going to bring it up.
That I couldn't play WoW because of that.
Yeah.
My dad gave me a choice. I could get Oblivion or I could get WoW. And I chose Oblivion. I feel like I made the right choice. Single player is a lot more my direction and it's personally influenced me a lot more in the long run.
Right.
I imagine.
Yeah, the whole, like, getting into, like, all of that. You know what it is? Like, and I'm not shitting on Oblivion or Skyrim or Morrowind, right?
Yeah.
That period, I cannot get into. The dragons and the elves and the orcs. And
that's fair.
Again, I prefer Fallout over Oblivion, not because it has guns. It's just the time
absolutely.
period.
I'm in the same boat as you. Fallout New Vegas is in my top 5 of video games. Like, that's amazing.
I just prefer that timepiece, except for the only exception that's ever happened is Shadow of War and Mordor, because I don't like Lord of the Rings. I just don't find it that fascinating. But that gameplay is so goddamn good that it does not matter. That game is fantastic. Yeah. Like, I will ignore all the elves and orgs and bullshit.
Yeah.
And I just want to take over people. And the new Shadow of War where you're taking over the fortresses, I'm like, this is the shit. And I get to ride on a dragon.
I just got to the Shadow War part, and it's been like a ton of fun just like going around and
oh my god,
taking people over.
So good. The game is so damn good. And again, it's funny because I tell people, I'm like, this game, and they're like, I don't like Lord of the Rings. I'm like, I don't care. Skip every damn cutscene. Just play this game. It's so good. You can play this gameplay loop for a very long time. I ended up 100%ing Shadow of War. Didn't do all I didn't do all the achievements just because, like, there were some weird ones, but
there are a lot of hard ones. Yeah.
It's just weird. Like, I don't want to spend more time doing that odd nonsense. I just want to play and 100% this game. And I did, and it was fantastic. But otherwise, yeah. So, I mean, that's really cool, though, because especially a game like Oblivion, because, you know, there's some backstory. Just a little. Just a little. Yeah. I feel like just a little bit of backstory there. Yeah, I'm sure there's Wikipedia articles that are just, you know, paragraphs upon paragraphs upon
oh my god, like
if you read all of the things in the game, like, you've read War and Peace a couple times. Like, good Lord.
At that point, because, like, each of the books is, like, I think their minimum's, like, 4 pages, and they can be up to 20 to 50 pages in Skyrim. Right. So you can, technically, I don't know, they must have, like, a full-time writing staff, just writing lore that they're just told to, like, put into the system and hide somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too, is, like, you sit there and think about some games where there's so much shit around, and it's like I just played Wolfenstein, and I literally picked up and Wolfenstein 2 is fantastic. The game is fantastic.
I really want to get that one.
It's weird because there's all this side story stuff, right? And I picked it up solely based off achievements. Like, I didn't know if there was any achievements like pick up 50% of collectibles, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't read any of the things at all. Now, I like that game, but there's a certain point where some games you really want to read it, and then some games you're just like, I cannot stop and read all this. Like, there's just so much.
Yeah, actually, I felt that in Horizon. There were a lot of moments where I wanted to read it, but the lore was so dense that it just became, like, they were just huge paragraphs. And there wasn't, like, any fancy editing to it either, like, fancy graphics, or even somebody talking to you, like the Mass Effect codec would be really nice, just to, like, read the lore to me. But I didn't want to, like, scroll through this really badly done, or I shouldn't say badly done, just like this really rudimentary UI. It just became really hard to read after a certain point, and I didn't want to, like, strain my eyes.
I tried at first. I was reading it because I was fascinated at how they were explaining this. I was like, wow, let's check this out.
The story is so interesting too. Like, it's so bloody good.
It's so good. And then, like I said, I just got all weird. Like, after a while, you're just like, all right, I can't read this shit anymore. I'm just gonna go kill some more robot dinosaurs. Let's just go do this. Like, I got shit to do. I can't say or do this.
Like, I absolutely love that game, but you can see the moments where the budget was starting to come into play.
Yeah.
And next game, I have no doubt, next game, whatever the next Horizon's going to be, it's going to be 10 times whatever this game is. And like you said, it's Game of the Year. So I can't imagine it's going to be worse.
Yeah, like, no, I mean, the next one will be good. And again, that's why I've kind of let the lapse on the PlayStation Plus go, because I'm just like, all the good Sony games, because, like, Xbox is my primary console, PlayStation and Switch are my exclusive. So, like, I'm literally looking at all the good Sony games, and none of them say multiplayer online, so I'm like, all right, we're good.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I don't see a point to it.
That's fine.
I'm using my Switch to play Zelda and Mario. That's all it is right now. It's a Zelda and Mario machine.
Yeah, I have.
And Stardew Valley when I can't find anything else.
There you go. I have Mario, Zelda, Mario Kart, Splatoon 2. Yeah, that's about it. And only I have Splatoon 2 for my kids, but, like, if I go upstairs and look at all the games, they're, like, literally Nintendo games, and I'm like, my Wii U ended up the same way. What a shocker. Hopefully there's good third-party games that will eventually come out that are only on that console, which I'm sure there's people out there that are like, the Switch has plenty of games. I'm sorry. If it's going to come out on my Xbox in my 4K
I'm going to get it on my Xbox.
I'm going to get it on my Xbox. I'm so sorry, but no, and I get you want to support the Switch, but
you know what I love about Doom? The 4K graphics at 60 frames a second during all that mayhem.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I like about it.
That's a real good thing about it. Wolfenstein, I was happy to see all these games come out, but I was also weird that the games didn't come out day and date. Like Wolfenstein's coming out next year for Switch, and I'm like, it probably would be way better just to have it. No, I'm not saying push the 360 or the PS4 and Xbox One version to have the Switch one happen, but like try to put some effort into getting that shit launching maybe a week later, not 4,
you know what?
5,
I think
6
I
months
have
later.
a theory about that. I feel like they're going to wait for Wolfenstein because that's the only game Bethesda has right now out that will have concurrent DLC coming out. And my theory is that Nintendo's online platform is so garbage for like downloadable content for video games is that publishers are going to purposefully push games back so that the season's past content can just roll over back into the game and just be part of it. And then they'll sell the Game of the Year edition on Switches. Like what they've done with Doom.
Game of the Year, yeah.
Yeah, and like LA Noire. And that's why all these games are coming out, and all the games that are like, it's going to have DLC, so we're going to push it back or hold it off. Like Ukulele still isn't out on the Switch, and it was supposed to come out back in March.
Holy crap, that thing is still not out on Switch?
No, it's not.
Oh my god, I thought that thing... Ooh.
There was a point where like I opened up the Switch store and I thought I saw Ukulele. I clicked it and it was Snake Pass. Just they changed their logo to look a little bit greener.
They're like, let's fool people. Let's change the Snake Pass logo. Guys.
Please buy me. Yeah,
please buy their game. We heard it's okay, but we're not Ukulele. I'm so sorry. So then obviously now you have kind of already described what you do. So you are primarily Xbox now. Yes. You have a PS4 and a Switch for exclusives. What are your gaming habits like today? Obviously, now that you're an adult and you have, more responsibilities and stuff. What are you playing lately?
You know what? Gaming has never been cooler in my opinion, and I'm finding myself like with a distance. I love VR, and me and my dad last year, when I lived with them and I had a lot more expendable income, we split the PSVR system.
There you go.
So I've been playing with that, and I brought it over here when I moved out too. So it's been like something I've been showing friends, and I love it, but it's not quite there yet. So I'm waiting for that to be the next big thing. And like, aside from maybe 2 or 3 of the games that came out this year that I already own, or like that I don't own already, like Zelda, Horizon, and Mario, I'm kind of losing interest in it. And I'm actually kind of heartbroken by that because, like I feel like I've described in this episode, gaming is so important to me. And I'm feeling this disconnect. Not that I'm not playing games, mind you. I'm just not feeling that draw to video games that I once did. And I think maybe that's growing up. I feel like you just have to start truncating and like sectioning off parts of your life and like thinking about it more responsibly. Like I can't go out and like fiscally right now, I can't go out and buy Wolfenstein, but I want to. I'll just wait till it comes out or like it's on sale next year and then I'll pick it up.
I mean, I would say, I think that could be the case, right? Obviously, if you have other shit going on in your life and you just straight don't have time, then you fall off of it. But also too, when you take I'm not going to say a break or a hiatus completely, but for example, and I've said it 100 times, and I'm sorry everybody who listens to this show every week, I skateboarded and I basically stopped playing video games except for Tony Hawk for like 4 years. I didn't play anything. I did not have a PS2 at launch. I did not have an Xbox. I had a PS1, and I was one of those poor bastards that had to go in and ask for Tony Hawk 4 on PS1, and everybody looked at me like, I was like, what the hell's wrong with that kid? Yes, I'm broke and I don't have a PS2, but I just didn't care that much to play the newer shit because I found something else that took up my time. So when I came back to video games, I was like, holy shit, look at all this stuff. Like, look at all these games I missed. And it was cool to kind of like, I had all of that at my disposal as I got a job at a video game store. So I just, I was playing all this shit that I missed over the last 4 years and then fell like right back in love with it. So, I mean, again, like taking a break from it, not necessarily like completely, but like yeah, you might not be as into it and everything, but then there will come a point in time when some next level shit comes out and you're like, oh my God, I gotta get this game. And then it'll just reignite everything. Cause I know people that will not give a shit about games, but then Grand Theft Auto comes out and they go, holy shit, Grand Theft Auto's coming out, and they get so pumped and they get so jazzed to see all, and I think that's happening right now with Red Dead. Cause like,
yeah, actually my roommate's a perfect example of this. Me and him are like, we're best friends. We've known each other for 9 or 10 years now. And he watches me play games. Like I played through all of Uncharted 4 and he sat next to me and we just like, we were laughing, cheering, crying the whole way through. And we did it like, that's how we play video games. But Red Dead's the only game he wants. Like he is going to go out of his way because he 100%ed that game when it came out. Like Red Dead Redemption and Undead Nightmare.
Right.
Those are the only games he's ever 100%ed and like gone out of his way to do. So like you're totally right that Red Dead is one of these games. I think it's like these Grand Theft Auto and like these Rockstar properties. They're kind of like, they're big enough that people will come out of the woodworks and be like, well, I guess it's time to boot up the system or go buy a new one and play for 700 hours and then justify my purchase of the console.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, that's funny is like there's certain companies out there who can get away with this shit, and that's not many. Like, I think Rockstar, when a Grand Theft Auto comes out, it is a damn event, and it's a
worldwide event. Everybody knows about it. My mom knows about it.
Yeah, and then I think it's more tight knit, but when things like a Bethesda game comes out, like Fallout, like that was another one that a lot of people were like, oh shit, I loved Fallout 3 on 360, and then they came back and did that. That's more with like Fallout, Skyrim, or let me phrase that, Elder Scrolls in general, right? Like when the next Elder Scrolls come out, people are gonna fucking freak. And
absolutely.
They're gonna go buy a console for that. But like, ever since Rockstar had Grand Theft Auto Online came out, they're like, why do we still make games? Like, we can just make online way better. But I think when, which I'm not knocking it, by the way, because what's funny is I just played Grand Theft Auto Online, yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. Played it yesterday. I haven't played it in months. And I came back, I'm like, dude, what is this game even now? There is so much more shit in this game you can do. And there was a funny, like, thing I saw online where it's like, the year Rockstar finally realized what online was, and it showed that every year all these games came out, and then as soon as 2013 hit, it was like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah,
and that's it.
It stayed at the top of the list.
And nothing else came out. Like, but Rockstar didn't put out anything else. They put out an LA Noire remaster, and they're working on Red Dead, but they straight for like 4 years haven't put out shit because online is printing them money like you wouldn't believe, and they're just like, we just need to add online stuff. Why make a new game? So it's
insane. Like when I worked at EB Games, when you open shipments and you get new games, obviously you get like tons of the new games, some of the smaller games. Like I remember seeing on the talk about games, like when you went in and bought Tony Hawk 4 on the PS1, there was on the West Coast, we got 20 copies of Just Dance 2018 on the Wii.
Mm-hmm. The Wii, the Wii.
The Wii, like the Wii, not the Wii U or the Switch, but the Wii, the 10-year-old console or whatever now at this point. Yeah, I think 10 or 11 years old. One lady in my store for the whole West Coast got the one copy, and we have 19, or they had 19 in receiving last I checked, or when I last worked there now.
Yeah,
and that's
you get those people that they stick to one game or one console. I mean, I remember working at Game Crazy, and the game that was like that for PS2 was FIFA, because FIFA is so worldwide.
FIFA's still like that, man.
Yeah, and
FIFA
is
still absolutely still like that.
But like, dude, it was on PS2 way longer than you would have thought it was. Like, you're like, holy shit,
it was on PS2 till 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's insane that they still made that. But again, we can't just rely on, like, we can't just think, oh man, who still has a PS2? I don't know, hundreds of millions of people.
Thousands of people who can't afford the PS3.
Exactly. They sold 100 million. I'm assuming there's still a good chunk of them, and they're not all, it's just because your neighborhood might not have a PS2. It doesn't mean that, so there's parts of the world where PS2 isn't the main console in everybody's living room.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I remember that being a big deal as well. So maybe well, you know what it is, Rockstar, they'll try to put their shit on everything, but then they can just make Grand Theft Auto 5 again, and Dude, I'll just wait for them to release the first paid 4K upgrade for the Xbox One and have everybody buy it and not care.
Yeah,
they'll do it. They'll be the only company that can do it and get away with it, and nobody will say a damn word to them.
EA just can do EA will put their foot in the pool and everybody yells at them, but like Ubisoft and Rockstar, they jump in the pool, big belly splash and cannonball, and nobody freaks out at them.
That's always been one of my
favorite. Thank you. It's always been one of my favorite like internet punching bags. Is I've worked with EA, like I've game tested for them. I can't tell you which ones, but I can absolutely tell you I've done it before. And they're nice people. I don't know why people, like, they have some dirty practices. I absolutely agree the Battlefront thing was, like, horribly corrupt. But the way they handled the situation was pretty honorable. And everybody attacking the developers over this that's what made me mad. Is like these people who wanted to make this beautiful piece of art, and these mindless idiots on Twitter attacking them because they think they implemented the loot box system.
Yeah, let's give death threats to an art director because he gave up, because he had so much input into the, economics of the game. Go fuck yourself, people.
Like I don't identify as a gamer because of people like that. It's like you ruin it for the rest of us. Like when people think of gamers, they think of that angry troll online,
or they think of the South Park World of Warcraft dude.
Exactly. Like that's the problem right now is we have this terrible stereotype, and sadly there's nothing I can do about it because it's a horribly toxic environment.
Yeah, but then you just gotta hang around the cool people on podcasts.
Exactly.
Like
you gotta exactly this wonderful podcast that we're on.
Self promotion.
It's self promotion. It's all fine. You can self-promote here. You can do any ad. You can technically ad read for other companies, but what are they going to do? You're giving them free press.
Yeah, but they're not going to pay me. So I mean,
yeah. No, so we're absolutely not going to talk about those other ads.
Exactly. We're not going to talk about. I didn't talk about Mike's podcast. I didn't just promote his. I also didn't promote Sean Capri's podcast, We the Gamercast, which I completely stole for this idea of a show. But that's okay.
That's okay.
Speaking of self promotion, what do you want to promote? What do you want to promote? Anything gamer tags podcast you're on or anything? Man. Feel free to go ahead.
You know what? I've always wanted to start a podcast. This is kind of like my foot in the door for the whole genre, and so far I've had an absolute blast. So I hope to do something in the future, and maybe in the future I'll text you and see if I can get a plug in a future episode.
That works. I owe you one if you're going to be on here.
Oh, absolutely. I'll come on anytime. Honestly, I have 1,000 other stories to talk about. But you can find me on Twitter. That's where I'm most active. I'm maybe Connor, or sorry, not maybe Connor. I'm at System Monitor 1 because I can't get maybe Connor. Because that's my handle for everything else. Instagram, Snapchat.
Isn't it always shitty when you have it on everything except for just one, and you're like, "Fuck, man, can I just get that one back, please?"
Yeah, like my handle. It's like a family thing. My dad's used it, and now I have my own variation of it. If you want to add me on PlayStation, my name is probchild, PROBCHILD. If you want to add me on Xbox One, whatever, it's PROBCHILD 95. And yeah, that's it. That's my life. I do D&D, so if anybody wants to jump in a D&D game with me or start a campaign and maybe we can do a podcast about that, hit me up. I'm always around, and I have 1,000 different campaigns already written. So I don't mean actually 1,000. I mean like 3. But
that's worse. It's a nice round number for three doesn't sound good. 1,000 sounds way better.
Exactly, 1,000 sounds confident and like I actually know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know.
Instead of just fumbling through the wilderness and falling over my own feet.
There you go. Well, and also too, if you guys want to check any of his stuff out, I'll have it in the show notes of the show. Dude, thank you so much for being on the show. Really appreciate it, and thank you for sharing all your stories.
Thank you for having me on, man. It's been an absolute blast.
All right. And again, thank you, Connor, so much for being on the show. Again, if you guys want to check out anything he is doing on Twitter or PlayStation or Xbox or Instagram or all of the above, feel free to check the show notes out. I will have all the links to his many, many different platforms, so you can check him out wherever you want. Again, if you guys want to be on the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 or at the Twitter podcast page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. We also have a Facebook group. It is the Growing Up Gaming Facebook group. So if you guys ever want to join that, feel free to hit me up on that. You can search it. I'm sure you can find it, no problems. Also, too, I have a website, which I don't talk about nearly enough, at gugpodcast.com. Most of the same stuff, but again, I have a website. Makes me feel somewhat legitimate, even though it's just a WordPress and it's not that hard to do, but whatever. It makes me feel better. So, again, thank you guys so much for returning each and every week. Share it with your friends. Rate us on iTunes. Let me know what you think, and I will catch you guys next week. See ya.